Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
The Florida Coastal Corridor. Hey everybody, Joe Simons, Like Diamonds, back again with the Salt Strong Podcast and of course filming on YouTube as well. I got Nick Wiley. So I want to give a shout out to Michelle first and foremost. She has introduced me to quite a few great people there at both FWC and now we got Fish and Wildlife Foundation and really, really cool things going on behind the scenes. We just got back from ICAST and it was awesome. Like always, I feel like, and you were there too, Nick, it wears you out, but like you come home energized and you're excited about the industry. You're excited about, fishing and where things are going. And you just get really, really energized on all the awesome things going on behind the scenes. And one of the big announcements at ICAST was this new coastal corridor. And Michelle made the connection. I was like, all right, let's not waste any time. This is new. Let's talk about it. So first and foremost, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joe. Man, I'm thrilled to be here and to talk about this exciting news. Thank you.
What is your background? I know you were with FWC, and I'm guessing a lot of people don't even know what the Fish and Wildlife Foundation of Florida is and what's the difference. So can you kind of give some of your background and what this what all this means to the average angler out there?
Sure, man. So I did spend a career with FWC. Started as a biologist. My last few years, I was the executive director there. I retired 30 years. I went to work for Ducks Unlimited, national nonprofit for conservation. And my whole career, I've been in this place where I've tried to work with the sportsmen conservationists that our hunters and anglers have always been. And in that, it's a wonderful place to be, to work with everybody that cares about these resources and wants to experience the resources. But now I've had the opportunity to come back and work for the Fish and Wildlife Foundation of Florida, which is established by statute to support FWC and find ways to kind of bring in funding sources and support things that they need to help with, including kind of connecting with anglers and hunters and those sportsmen and women out there. And those things that make Florida special. So we're kind of building bridges, bringing people together, finding ways to fund and support these initiatives that we're going to talk about. So it's exciting to be here and to be talking to you guys about this cool opportunity.
Before we get into it, I'm curious, where do you guys get your funding? We've had FWC in a couple of times and talk about where some of that funding comes from. Where does your funding come from? Because it is a nonprofit, right?
Yeah, it is. For a variety, we have a network of wonderful donors and contributors that support us through a lot of different channels of outreach and support. We have corporate partners that give funding to help us to go deliver the things we do. We actually administer grants through 4 of Florida's license plates. So go buy your deer tag, your bear tag, your oceans tag, your springs tag. Those are 4 that we administer the funding through legislative arrangements. And we also manage a lot of conservation funding from different government and private sector interests that want to go do a project like, say, the Coastal Corridor we're going to talk about. We actually are skilled and have the staff to bring those funds together into a big bucket and then distribute those funds in a way that's nimble and really actively gets things moving on the ground and in the water.
Love it. All right. So what is this coastal corridor? What does this mean to the average person?
So you guys have probably seen all the excitement about Florida's wildlife corridor and how that really developed and came to be and got everybody really enthusiastic. It generated a lot of support, funding across the board and attention. We're sitting here thinking our Florida's, in my opinion, in my experience, which has been many years, Florida's coastal resources are the highest and greatest economic engine benefit to Florida, from our estuaries, our beaches, our fish and wildlife resources, our marine resources, the things that people like to catch and eat and enjoy from residents to tourists. I mean, there's no stronger economic value and engine in the state of Florida, in my opinion. Maybe somebody could challenge me on that, but I think that is our most important precious resource. And we're thinking, our board, our staff, our team, FWC, why haven't we captured that into an initiative that captures the hearts and minds and interest and opens up funding for taking care of that resource, amplifying it, promoting it? I know some of your anglers out there said, I don't want more boats on the water. We understand we've got to be balanced and careful, but also those anglers, I know, want more numbers to fish, more structure, more habitat. This is about bringing the funds together from the estuaries, the grass flats, near shore, offshore, all those under one umbrella of Florida's coastal corridor. That's why we didn't call it out of the gate an artificial reef program. It's bigger, broader. We believe the interest, the excitement, the broader umbrella that we bring everybody under to help benefit our coastal resources, and with a laser focus on what's going to help enhance our fisheries resources, habitat for our fisheries, at the same time boosting fish stocks, at the same time providing opportunities for anglers and boaters, and divers and people that want to enjoy that resource. It's all in, and we got a big tent, big umbrella. We want everybody to come in and let's just get excited and go and grow.
Yeah. What is the I'll just throw like a 10-year goal. Like, what does success look like? If I was going to say success with the wildlife corridor was for a bear or a panther to be able to, cross all the way up the state without having to go on someone's private property or, through a residential area, what is the end goal? What can we celebrate in 10 years or 20 years, whatever the end goal is?
So in the way we talk about it is, we have our first and foremost is the angler and the coastal communities and the economic values that come with these coastal resources. So we have a network, a connected network that an angler, whether they're a resident or just a visitor, can come to any local coastal community and know they can go out and catch fish at near shore, offshore, that the habitat is there, the structure is there, the opportunities are there. It's all come together around the table, but you've got the resource to support the fisheries there, the resources there, and you've got the structure, the access opportunity, the convenience to go fish, all that. You've got this network. Any community you arrive at and you want to go take your boat and go out and catch fish, you can do it. And you know where to go, how to do it. It's all transparent. It's all out there, not a bunch of secret numbers. I know some people want to keep their secret numbers. That's cool. Yeah. But this is going to be really providing opportunity for everybody to celebrate and access Florida's coastal fisheries. So
I guess with that, meaning inshore, offshore, nearshore, there's just going to be more fish. There's going to be more habitat, because you guys, you kind of touched on it. When I watched the video online, it talked about, I guess step number one is a lot of these artificial reefs, that it's a huge problem. Obviously, our natural reefs are in decline.
Right.
And I think part of the problem is FWC in particular has just not had the funds, or maybe you guys haven't had the funds to really keep up with how bad that problem is. What are kind of the steps? How does this start? Is it assuming it's artificial reefs, and then what? Does it go to grass flats and oyster beds and mangroves? Like what does this thing look like, and what's the time period?
You nailed it. So we thank you to our legislature and governor that supported an initial appropriation through FWC to really get us. The first focus is in the artificial reef arena. The first funding and the first focus is in that. But we're working hand in glove with FWC. They're going to develop a strategic framework for where the needs are, and where they're going to take their time. They're going to reach out to anglers, stakeholders, scientists, everybody to the table of where are the greatest gaps and needs for fisheries habitat, and where you put structure. We've got the money, and we're going to go ahead and start deploying where we already it's obvious we need to help. But if you put structure and artificial reefs in, whether it's deep water, shallower water, it's coastal, like living shoreline type things that are great for fishing. Whether it's enhancing your opportunity to catch a redfish or a red snapper, They're going to be developing this framework that identifies where the needs are, where the gaps are, how we create this actual corridor system where it all links up and it's best for fisheries and people. That's going to be where the money is focused right now. We've got $14 million out of the gate and another $2 to $3 million that we've already brought in from generous sponsors and supporters. And so we're going to hit the ground and go ahead and start putting these in the water as we develop this strategic framework to lay the vision out and to make it so that everybody that wants to come in and be a part of this and be supportive can be supportive. I mean, that's kind of how this is going to work.
So let's call it 15, 16 million. What was the problem before this? It was underfunded?
Well, yeah, that was a big part of it. So we also, I want to show appreciation of these counties. Most of Florida's coastal counties want to support a fisheries habitat and artificial reef program because they understand it's a major benefit to their economy, to local businesses on the coast. And so they've been wanting to do this. So the agency, FWC's had a few $100,000 a year, which has been good to help coordinate and work with the counties. But in a lot of cases, when you're trying to do an actual reef deployment, it requires heavy equipment, moving heavy stuff around, concrete, steel. It requires coordination to make sure it's cleared environmentally to go be a safe thing to put out in the ocean. The days of going and dumping things out there are long past. Yeah. And so it requires a whole lot of cost and coordination. But to hire a contractor with a barge and a crane and equipment to go move that, you got to meet a threshold of at least a minimum level of significant funding. The funding just hasn't been enough to do that and to get the contractors to the table. With the $15 million now on the table, we can actually elevate. We can actually support smaller projects, but we can actually tee up some big projects that really move the needle. And so that's what we're working for right now. Where are those opportunities? We want to move quickly too. We want it within the next year. We want to see some major deployments happen. And so this is all given us that funding boost, thanks to our legislature and governor's office, to be able to move that needle. They get it. They're supportive. We also have to prove this concept that we can actually do it. And we're taking the challenge and ready to run.
Yeah, 15 million is definitely different than a few $100,000.
Right.
It goes, sadly, it goes pretty fast these days when you're talking about, like you said, all the heavy machinery and the cost of diesel right now and taking big barges out. It's a lot. You mentioned that we, meaning the recreational angler, will have some sort of voice. How does that happen? Like, obviously I'm fishing more on the West Coast, but there might be someone listening that's on the East Coast saying, well, hey, I want more, mangroves and oysters and clams and artificial reefs over here. How do you guys actually, you still got to use science, I assume, but you still want to listen to the voice of the angler. How do you balance that out and listen to both?
Well, my history, I know there are anglers out there that probably think FWC's just doesn't get it, doesn't hear them, doesn't understand. I really have seen in action FWC willing to set up a program to listen, to bring in that input and to take it seriously. And there's a lot of ways to access that. But part of this funding to lay out this framework, strategic framework for the coastal corridor, they're going to do a series of public meetings across the state that'll make it where anglers can come. They're also going to create ways for anglers to provide input if they can't come to a meeting. I know a lot of people are working and can't make it to a public meeting. Last thing they want to do, they want to be on the water catching fish in their spare time. And so there's going to be other ways to engage through electronic means and other ways. They're going to advertise and put out for everybody to bring the input to the table and where those needs are, what's missing, where are the gaps. I hope your listeners are already thinking about, man, if I could just get the state or somebody to come provide some habitat, some structure over in this spot where we just don't have a place. That's really going to be critical input. We also want to overlay that in, like you said, with the science and also with those economic variables where those coastal communities, it supports what they're trying to do and links up to all the, things that feed into and support our economy.
I don't know where it is because I haven't been on their site in a while, but FWC for the longest time had a very clear place to contact them to give feedback on pretty much anything. And every time that I've done it, I've gotten an actual real response back. Not just, I got an autoresponder response to let me know they got it, but I actually got a real response back, which I thought was pretty awesome. And I would encourage anyone who has ideas. I assume you guys are going to have some place as well where people can give input. It's a whole lot more productive to actually go that route than complaining on it on your own Facebook page. FWC or you guys, no one's going to see that if you're just sitting there complaining about it in the broad ecosystem. But there are avenues, and you guys legally, we're documenting that stuff with the Sunshine Law. I mean, all that stuff is documented on who's asking questions and making sure it's getting response and listened to. There is a system in place that does work. We just have to go through the right avenues. Where would someone make comments that would get heard? I guess for you guys.
Well, this is going to create. The platform's not open yet. This is okay. We just got the funding in place. We got all the agreements in place. FWC's just gotten the funding that they can stand all this up. So we will be broadcasting. We'd love to get out through your channels and everything. We're going to be broadcasting how those meetings are going to be set up over the next several months. What other options for plugging in. This is going to be laser focused on this coastal corridor idea and initiative that's just getting rolled out. And so they're going to be getting you. We will push out channels for how to plug in, but this will be better than just being able to kind of plug into FWC's kind of broader channels for input. This is going to be focused on this opportunity, what we can do to help make fishing better around the entire coast, and getting the input from the anglers that are out on the water and see it and understand it. So that we don't have it yet, but it's coming.
And I want to be clear, it's not just for nearshore and offshore. It's not just reefs. We're talking, for someone like me, I'm interested more in the snook and the redfish, to make sure that our kids and grandkids can go out to the same areas and have a banner day like we all grew up doing.
Yeah, and that's really cool. I'm glad you brought that up because our foundation and the FWC have been involved in funding projects that seagrass and mangrove restoration projects, and so there's a lot. We absolutely want this to be broader than just an artificial reef program. Yeah, our initial funding is artificial reefs and putting in that structure, but we want to have absolutely on the table and be able to continue to find ways to fund restoration and protection of those habitats like the mangroves that you catch snook around. We want to, that's all part of this, and absolutely want to bring that in. And that's how we're going to lay out this strategic framework. Here's how the structure fits in, and reef restoration and corals and places you don't have corals where you need structure, it fits in. And then how it all also links up with those from the estuary to the saltgrass to the seagrass flats all the way out. And so it's all under that umbrella.
How long of an investment, I guess, how long is this 15 million supposed to last? And assuming you guys do prove it and it works and you can see real returns, a real ROI, are we hoping this is a 10-year, a 1 year, a 30-year, a 100-year? What does this look like?
So we technically have about 4 more years to spend the money.
Okay, got it.
But we're not, we want to spend it, we'd love to spend it in a year. If we can pull together the partnerships and the projects, we want to spend it as soon as we can and get it in the water, and make it start. Because it's like planting a tree, right? It's better than planting a tree, because honestly, you guys probably know this. You put a reef out in the water, it starts attracting fish like day one. I mean, but then you want that become a living reef, and it does over the next year, 2 years. And then you start creating this network, food chain network, you got bait fish hanging around it. You got bigger, and it also starts, if we do it in the right places, and we will, it also then starts contributing to spawning areas and to the ability of these fish that we like to catch to actually boost production and survival. It just boosts that whole food web for those fisheries that we care about. So we want to go fast, man. You ask a great question, and you don't often hear government say we want to go fast, right? So I'm telling you guys, we want to spend this 15 million over the next 2 or 3 years, if not sooner, and prove to you guys we can do it. I mean, we're laying out a challenge here. We want to accept the challenge and go. And so I want you to hold us accountable. And I will tell you, FWC is hand in glove with us. We're joined at the hip on this. I know you guys you hear things that are happening, and the rules and regulations sometimes cause concern, and there's a disconnect sometimes in how we communicate. I want to tell you this: agency leadership, the commissioners, they are listening and they care about this stuff. And all the static you hear swirling around them, a lot of it's unfair, and shouldn't. Everybody should be rallying around this commission and letting them hear their voice. And I know them; they'll deliver, and they support what the angler wants. They want to grow and support what Florida's doing with fisheries.
I mean, I would hope so. It makes the state stronger. It brings in more money. I mean, it's
a no-brainer. Yeah.
Yeah. How? Because I'm still not sure on how you measure success. Let's just say you guys do move crazy fast. You deploy all this money in a short amount of time. Like, how do you go back to the coffers or whoever's giving you money to say, hey, here's how we can prove this worked?
Great question. Starting this fall, we're going to start working with local counties to deploy reefs. Maybe some small projects to begin with as we work through all the complexities of bigger projects. But by this year, we're going to have to report annually to the legislature and FWC. And so we're going to show we've delivered, we put reefs in. There's a monitoring program in place for when you put reefs in, you monitor and look at the development and how success it is. And that you can document the benefits of that reef in the water. To me, ultimately, though, when we report out where we've deployed reefs, to me, the ultimate outcome that I need to hear is from voices of your listeners, people that say, yeah, they're getting it done.
Fishing's getting better here.
Water and fishing's getting better. Now, that's not always easy to monitor. And it's $15 million is not going to boost everybody's fishing around the whole coast. We're going to have to be strategic about deploying where we have structures ready to go, and where we have anglers ready to go fish. And so that's part of what this is going to be about. But the outcome, to me, the measure of this is if we prove that we can deploy reefs and we can put them in the right places and we can boost the fishery and we can make anglers happy with what we're doing, and also ultimately be able to go tell this story to the legislature and have them willing to open up more funds and provide more funding to deliver on this. And we can bring in corporate and philanthropic support that want to step in alongside us and help grow this program and then put more habitat in the water for our fisheries from, again, near shore, offshore, all the above. So that's, to me, there's several metrics that are going to measure success. If at the end of these next 4 years, we haven't deployed and we haven't delivered, then we failed. But it's not just, we checked the box, we did contracts, we put it's about being able to tell the story that we have done in the right places. It has delivered, it has boosted fisheries, it has boosted the local economy. Everybody sees this program's benefit. But the Wildlife Corridor has done that really nicely, showing that they work with landowners, they've protected lands, they've linked up lands, they've provided, they've done something that lifts everybody's interests and support. And that's what we got to do here.
So if I was listening, I would be dying to know, and you don't have to tell me the city unless you know it, but what region is going to get some of this investment first? Like, what region of Florida in general is kind of the worst that really, really needs this? So
we're trying to collaborate with some of the coastal counties on the Gold Coast. I mean, the Miami, Fort Lauderdale, where we got a big population, and the counties really want to do some things down there. Those 3 or 4 coastal counties down there we got a high population level, a lot of interest, a lot of coastline, a lot of ports, a lot of places for people to fish. That's an area where I think we're going to try to see if we can pull together a partnership between multiple counties, because our understanding is they got a lot of structure that they need to deploy. They just don't have the way to connect the dots and fund the deployment. So there's something there sitting there. We've got a lot of funding sitting in the Florida Keys. There's actually an additional $15 million already that has been deployed into the Florida Keys that we're trying to help partner up and get. That's a challenge with the sanctuary and getting their support, but we're working on that. Then some of the earliest deployments up here, the Panhandle, the Emerald Coast, if you will. There's several counties here that already stood up and ready to go do some projects, and we're going to tag in and help. So what do you need to get it done? A lot of what we can do is catalyst funding, just to kind of take things that are already kind of teed up and get it done. Early wins, low hanging fruit. And so I know I hadn't mentioned the Tampa St. Pete area or the Jacksonville area, but all the way down from Jacksonville through Merritt Island. Those are areas we're focusing on, and just it's just a matter of teeing up those initial opportunities. And so that's kind of where we are.
Interesting. So some of these counties already have some, let's just call them, either they've already made these things, they have some sort of structure that's ready to go and just don't have the funds to get it out there.
It's true. It's stockpiled. They've been thoughtful about trying to pull together materials that would be suitable. It's kind of stockpiled, ready to go. That's what we're looking for right now with this initial funding. How can we make this a catalyst fund that brings all this together and gets the habitat in the water? There's a lot of counties that would love to move it. They just hadn't had the help.
Interesting. You mentioned earlier when I first was chatting with you offline that your son is a kayak angler in Jacksonville.
That's right.
So how does he get excited about this? Like, is he pumped? Because I'm putting myself in the kayak angler who's maybe not going offshore. Like, how excited are they about this?
Well, they should be. Right. They should be if they understand how fisheries works, and those trout and redfish, and what kind of habitat they need for spawning and production. Some of the habitat that we're going to do, this initial deployment will create some of the structure that provides those life cycle needs for those fish as they're growing for different stages, from spawning to small fish to bigger fish. It's not going to be like, for a kayak fisherman, probably not going to be, here's a new structure I'm going to paddle out to. But it is going to be supporting the growth of that fishery, the robust and resiliency of that fishery. And so those kayak anglers in those areas should be happy to see this coming, because it's going to really provide needed habitat and the missing links. That's where the science comes in. The scientists can look at this and say, here's the missing link to really building the fishery in these estuaries and river systems where these kayak anglers are going to be fishing. So it's not quite as a direct, like, I can go drop an anchor at these numbers,
right?
But it's boosting that fishery. That's why we're doing it right. We're not just putting out a structure to go fish.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about it before on prior podcasts, but for those that don't know, I mean, these big bull redfish, and let's just say Jacksonville, and same with the flounder population, they're going to these near shore and offshore wrecks, reefs, and doing their business and coming back in. So it is. Right. Yep. Yep, that's good. What could we do? And I don't mean like Joe and Luke at Salt Strong, but the audience in general. Like, what could we be doing over the next 12 months that like genuinely impacts this in a good way? What are your thoughts there? What are you guys telling the average recreational angler? How can we get involved?
Well, we would love to keep you. We're going to push out updates periodically as we go forward, as this program starts taking root and going. So we'd love to continue, keep you in the loop on the communication and updates, and it's accountability. Help us, hold us accountable. We're taking this challenge, and it's your audience. If we can't deliver something your audience can be happy with and proud of, then we fail. And so help us communicate, help us get the word out, help us, corporate interests out there that should see their stake in this. Help us connect with them. Help us let them know your listeners are buying their products, and if we enhance fisheries, that's going to be a much better process. So help us with that in that way. And also, when we start with FWC standing up these workshops to get input, just you guys can help us make sure anglers are aware. A lot of times everybody's so busy, and if we try to reach out, a lot of times we'll host a meeting or something and people just don't show up because they're so busy or they don't hear about it. You got a great voice. I mean, a broad reach, and we would love to work with you in that regard any way we can.
Yeah, I do think that's my candid feedback is that's the one thing that FWC can improve upon. And I know it's not easy. I mean, it's not easy for us. We have a massive email list, just like you guys do, of people that have subscribed to us over the last decade. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people. Yeah. And even on a good day with the best headline in the world, you're only getting 20%, maybe 30%, or even opening the thing. So I know it is tough, but that's what I hear from a lot of our members and anglers is, I didn't even know they had this going on, or I didn't even know there was a trout symposium in my backyard. Right. I never even heard about it. So
and what I'm learning, the tools of of engaging via social media are everybody's just getting information just pushed. We've got to do all channels, all methods. We've got to have posts that you guys might pick up. That's like a 2-minute. People don't have time to listen to this podcast, but we need to be able to put out bites that capture. When you're scrolling, you say, "Oh gosh, this is something I need to pay attention to." We got to figure out with all this push of information, a way to capture everybody's attention and get them plugged in.
Yep. All right. So we're recording this here at the end of July. It'll be live, I guess, the last week of July. Where could someone go now to learn more? I know this is very new. We just got released a week ago, but where could someone go to watch some of the videos and learn more?
Well, we've got a link on our website, fishwildlife.org. We also are pushing out through all our social media channels linkages to this and how you can go learn more. And so we're on all the channels, Fish Wildlife Foundation. It not hard to find us. So we've got all that you can go start feeding information out, and we'd love it to get everybody excited and plugging in.
Cool. Yeah, I would encourage anyone listening, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you look at your social stuff, follow them. It helps show up in your feed. And I mean, that's how I learned mostly about what's going on with a lot of this stuff, is following these groups on social media to make sure it shows up my feed. Because like everyone else, I'm on the FWC email list, and sometimes it goes into spam. Sometimes I'm just busy and it never makes it to my eyeballs. But usually on social, I'm getting hit with a lot of this stuff. So I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. And anything else that you didn't cover?
If I send you one of these hats, will you wear it?
Yeah. The last thing I need just being
another hat.
I don't have I guess I got about 5 or 6 over here, but yeah, my wife, she's like, I don't want to see another hat.
Same with me. Same for me. I just want you to put it on once and take a picture and let me go.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay, all right.
Well, I appreciate it, Nick. Sure. And yeah, thanks for coming back and out of retirement. It sounds like maybe 2 times from FWC and then Ducks Unlimited to do this. Is a born and raised Floridian, and now my son is 4th generation, and Luke's side of the family, his daughter now is 5th generation Floridian, wow. Maybe 6 now. They're one of the older families I know that have all been born and raised in Florida, and I think that is always the fear is as a parent and as grandparents that our grandkids and great grandkids are just not going to have these opportunities. And this is not just fishing either. I mean, the boating industry has people who are just going out on, sunset cruises or look at the dolphins or manatees. And then you've got, tourism. Every hotel that's on the coast will benefit from our waters being better, not just for fishing, but for going down and scuba diving or just snorkeling out there. So this, and obviously, clean water helps as well, and habitat helps with that. So this is impacting all of us, not just anglers. So
I'm so glad you framed it up nicely, and it really is about making it better for our next generation that's going to go in. And I think we can do better. I think we can make it even better for them, and that's what this is about. You said it nicely. Thank you. I'm so grateful for this opportunity.
No, thank you. And hopefully we don't have to go to like 3D printed, redfish or something where it's just fake stuff. So.
Exactly. It's going to be real. Let's keep Florida real.
Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, thank you so much. You guys go check them out, Fish and Wildlife Foundation of Florida. And we'll continue to talk more about this as a lot of this money gets deployed. And I assume because Florida has very visible rules in terms of, when things do happen and money is spent, it's documented. So this is going to be very well documented. You're going to have the GPS numbers of all these reefs you guys are putting out there. And
that's right.
Nothing will be hidden. So
yes, sir. Thank you.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. If you guys have questions, depending on if you're watching on YouTube or on the blog post, leave them down below. I'll make sure to forward them over to Nick and his team if there's things that we can't answer. So I appreciate you guys. Comment away, and we'll talk to you on the next episode. 'Cause fishing, it's in my soul. It was passed down to me from the days ago. Find us on the water if there was a way. It's been said
fishing in our souls to stay